Hello, this is Fear Dragon, and welcome to Breaking Out, the show about North American StarCraft 2 players. Here on this show, we take a look at up-and-coming North American talent. Each week, we check out a new player to get a feel for their personality and their playstyle. On Thursday, we interview the player to try and find out more about who they are and why you should care about them. On Friday, we watch 3 of their games as we cover their playstyle in each of the 3 matchups. Saturday, we take a look at an awesome game that they've played and relax with a little bit of fun as we recap the week and get an analysis of the games. Breaking Out will cover 8 players before it culminates into the Breakout Invitational. With a minimum prize pool of $1,000, we find out who is the most likely player to break out of the North American scene. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Hello, this is Fear Dragon, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Out, the show about North American StarCraft 2 players that you need to know about. Today on the show, we already actually covered a Protoss vs. Zerg if you're watching this live. If you're watching the YouTube videos, Protoss vs. Zerg already got released. And we actually casted that with Boisterous SC2, who is joining me yet again today. How you doing today, man?
He has tied me up in the basement. Send help.
We're gonna talk a little bit about that later, Boisterous, and
Okay. All right.
what's gonna happen now that you've said that. But we are here in a Protoss versus Terran on the map Habitation Station. Let's go ahead and introduce the players as we spawn up here in the top right-hand corner. On top of the pink Protoss player representing Team Dust, it is the highlight player of the week, Dust sWs.
And up here in the top left-hand corner, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the god from Team EJK. It's EJK, the red Terran player.
Do you think that that team portrait is a picture of EJK?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I know that this is false because EJK is actually one of the players that applied for Breaking Out. In fact, this is actually one of the games from the Breakout Invitational Qualifier. I don't even know what I called it anymore. He's from the qualifier for qualifying for Breaking Out, and this is actually a game from it. So I have seen a video of EJK. He does not look like that woman.
No, I'm pretty sure that the video you saw was Photoshopped.
It is entirely possible, man. There has been some great technology around Photoshop and even just Logitech webcams. They come with all kinds of kind of presets.
Oh yeah, they do, dude. I have some nice backdrops. Logitech webcam. I think you've seen them. One of them is a broken wheel. It's pretty awesome.
Oh my god, you have the most ridiculous backdrops, man. But all right, let's see what's going on. We already have sWs going with a very early probe scout. Was that a gateway probe scout or was that a pylon probe scout? I actually missed that.
I'm pretty sure it was a pylon probe scout. That probe was across the map extremely fast. Now it's just gonna kind of hang out at the natural. Maybe stop the command center, but nope. Just gonna see the command center go down and then run home.
Well, actually, I think that he just wants to be a little bit sneakier. He's gonna look at this sneaky pathing. He's like, I'm gonna pretend like I'm going down further south, but now I'm actually just gonna come up to this high ground, and then I'm gonna actually go down further south.
I have no idea what sWs is doing, but I'm intrigued. I'm like really interesting. This is like a siren song that this probe is doing, where I just can't look away. Gonna crash into the rocks.
You know, actually, I'm curious if maybe he was looking around for potential, like, proxy. Maybe he was just saying, like, what if he actually was just faking out that command center? What if he's actually just going to cancel that and go crazy? But, you know, regardless, probe is going to go home. And I have to say that sWs only has 1 gas geyser right now. He is going to be throwing down that second gas geyser. Finally, it looks like. But this is going to be a pretty standard 1 base or 1 gate expand from sWs for now.
Yeah, sWs isn't really worried of anything from EJK. I still don't know why he scouted the enemy side of the map, because it's like, oh man, maybe he's going for something sneaky on his side of the map.
You know, it's sort of interesting that he scattered around the bottom side of, after seeing the command center. But I do like that he kind of scouted out EJK, because I know that some Terran players have been struggling with this matchup lately, and they've been going for really crazy things. I've seen, you know, 2 Racks Reaper, I've seen Reactor Reaper, I've seen Fast Tech Up into Banshees, all kinds of crazy things coming out with Terran players who just don't want to go into the mid to late stages of this matchup.
Yeah, and he's actually going to be going for 3 command centers at this point. So, I mean, he definitely isn't worried about playing this matchup.
No fear, man. He's saying, you know what, let's bring to the late game, man, and we'll have to see how well that works out for him. do already have quite a few Marines over here from EJK, and I really like the positioning of these, because this is just getting ready for either the Mothership Core or the Oracle to pop in over here.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really primarily for the Mothership Core, especially on a map like this, because on Habitation Station, it's probably the easiest map to send your Mothership Core across, because it's only one other spawn, and it's literally 50 feet away from your base. And it looks like he's going to be flying right into those Marines, so these guys are actually going to completely stop the scouting of this Mothership Core. And if sWs isn't paying enough attention, maybe even kill it. Nope, they're pulling away. Oh god, the Marines. No, the Marines. Go back over there. You were in the right spot.
You know what? I actually like this a little bit more, because he leaves one Marine over there to scout out his Mothership Core. Mothership Core might get a little bit greedy and go after that Marine, but no, sWs not going to fall for it. He's going to actually just back straight up. And did he see that? He did see the third command center, so that is actually going to be a huge tell, because he knows that the other command center was built on the low ground, so he should know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he should definitely just guess that it's going to be a high econ game from our Terran buddy. And it looks like he's going to react with his Twilight Council. So
yeah,
Link ready?
You know, it's possible that he's going to go for some sort of like late blink play. I wouldn't actually like to see that as much though, just because I mean Stim is already on the way, and it might be a little bit more difficult to make this work. Also note that actually EJK threw down a scan, and as soon as the scan actually finally dissipated, he did throw down that Twilight Council, so he does want to hide this tech a little bit, but the Forge was seen, so EJK is not going to know there's at least some good upgrades coming out.
Yep, it's going to be Charge, actually.
Ooh, Charge Led Archon with the Temple Archives being thrown down. What do you think about that?
I think that I'm watching a Wings of Liberty game.
Yeah, man, we haven't seen any Heart of the Swarm units come out yet. Maybe a little one will eventually... Oh, okay, Mothership Core. Mothership Core did come out.
Yeah. Mothership Core, best unit in game. But yeah, I mean, sWs is just going for something kind of interesting here. I mean, Charge-Led Archon has been a reactionary build for a while now against early bio pushes, but it looks like he's going to want to try to use it to put the aggression on. And it's not a terrible idea. I mean, it's definitely plays up to what he said he was, which is that he likes to switch up his plays every game. He likes to be unexpected. He likes to be spontaneous, kind of. And Charge-Led Archon is definitely something not a lot of people see, and without a ghost or without a sort of reaction like that, it can be hard to hold off.
100% agree. One thing I will note, though, is that we actually are only sitting on around 6 gateways from sWs, which for Charge-Led Archon, that's actually a little bit low of a count. It does allow him to, you know, invest a little bit extra into those Forge upgrades, like he's starting the +1 weapons right now. He's also going to be able to get out some High Templar. But honestly, I feel like I was going to say he's going to probably throw down a third command or a third Nexus, or he's going to have to add on more gateways to really spend his money.
Yep, and it looks like he went the third Nexus route, which isn't a terrible idea. I mean, again, Charge-Led Archon is a very good defensive comp.
Yeah, but we do actually see a bit of a tricky move over here from EJK. You do get to decide where you're going to take that third expansion. EJK, go into that gold expansion. Honestly, it's sort of weird to say, but I think that gold expansion is going to be easier to defend just because he's going to be facing up against Charge-Led Archon, and as long as he has his army in the right position, that's going to create a nice little choke that sWs' army isn't going to handle too well.
It's definitely a lot less of an angle, which is typically bad for a Terran Reserve player against a Protoss, but in this case, I mean, Charge-Led Archon, it just relies so much on getting surface area that if you hold the top of that ramp, you're going to be perfectly fine. The big thing for EJK right now is that sWs like literally scouted that as soon as it went down. Like when this was going down, there was a Phoenix flying over it.
Oh yeah, he has plenty of time to react now, and he's already thrown down a couple more gateways. And, you know, we keep saying Charge-Led Archon, but it is important to note that the High Templars are obviously in the mix. Psystorm has already finished researching, so that actually could still come into play, and it could actually still work out well for sWs, because you imagine if you have too many of those units kind of clumped up on that ramp, or if sWs gets up that ramp, and EJK tries to come in to defend, one or two storms on that ramp, and EJK is suddenly not going to be feeling too good about moving up that ramp.
Not at all, and it looks like we're actually going to have this happening right now. We have 5 Templar out, all of them with storms, and this is a dangerous army. Like, it doesn't have a lot of muscle to it, doesn't have a lot of zealots, but these High Templar can do a ton of damage with good storms.
But I do have to say that EJK is really well spread out over here. It's going to be a bit difficult for sWs to make the best out of this engagement. We'll love to see if he can do it. Storms do go down, actually in pretty decent positions. Some of the reinforcements from EJK not exactly getting the best engagement angle over there as they just kind of walk themselves into storms. And even though it looks like sWs may get cleaned up over here, he actually just decimated EJK's army.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and he forced this sEV pull off of that third base. That was just a beautiful engagement from sWs. He just stormed everything. Like, EJK had a beautiful concave going into that, but not once the storms went down. Once the storms went down, he had to pull everything back and completely change up his angle of engagement. And I really don't think he was ready for that. I think he was expecting something like we were expecting. I think he was seeing like a charged out Archon coming in, and that just didn't happen.
Yeah, I have to say sWs really did storm the front over there, but EJK, he is not to be outdone. He's going to be going for a double drop, potentially over to the main base. He's currently unloaded over at the gold expansion, but now we end up seeing sWs charging in over here. He is going to have enough energy for one storm in a matter of seconds, but is he actually even going to need it? It looks like he's cleaning up everything.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be going into a bit of a base trade scenario here as EJK moves up into the natural, but EJK's army is not significant down here, and there is those backup units from the main base that were there to take care of drops, and there is a Templar with a couple of storms, and those storms are going to go down, and this is going to get cleaned up, and sWs taking the clear lead now. EJK taking a 50 supply deficit.
And honestly, that supply deficit is in workers. And EJK had to have lifted up his third expansion. There's still a Zealot there that's going to deny any mining from that gold expansion. The natural expansion was lifted off, so that's been completely disrupted. And in the meanwhile, sWs is kind of comfortably mining.
Yeah, I don't know what EJK was really expecting out of this game, because he has basically switched over his entire army to Marauders, and Marauders aren't that great versus Zealots. Like, I mean, his army is literally 20 Marauders and a Marine.
You know, I like the decision for Marauders because Marauders handle storms much better.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marines, they can get picked off with one storm. Marauders, I mean, they'll be able to eat up a couple of them, and he has a little bit more time to split it. He just has more survivability against what sWs' army is, but he just doesn't have the DPS to deal with the Zealots that are sitting on 3-2 upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, he's now finally getting Hellbats out, but those Hellbats are only at 0-1, and that upgrade deficit is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And here we go. We're going to have another engagement happening here, but sWs with a huge supply lead. He's actually going to be pulling back here. A little bit of an interesting play. I was expecting him to just storm it, but he decided not to. He's going to pull back. He knows he's in a pretty good spot. He doesn't want to just risk losing his entire army there. So instead, he's going to pull back and actually run away all the way home.
Well, you know, I actually like the move from sWs because EJK had, again, beautifully set up a giant concave, and you also have to remember that sWs' big supply lead is mostly in workers, which means that he actually will benefit even more from just kind of sitting back and not being hyper aggressive and saying, you know what, if you want to come back in this game, you got to come to me because I'm just going to wait till I'm maxed out, have 3-3, and can stomp your army.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting ready for that. I mean, he's 2 Immortal at a time production, which is really gonna do some damage to those Marauders. Now, granted, the Hellbat mixture from EJK will be able to do damage to the charge lots, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough, because those Hellbats, their big thing is that they are super slow, and these High Templar are not gonna let them get away with it.
Yeah, it's so funny to hear about High Templars actually chasing down a unit, but I think that is very much possible with Hellbats, and now we end up seeing potential engagement over here. I do want to note EJK did actually load up some medevacs and is actually going for a drop over the main base, but sWs already has a High Templar and a handful of Charge Cells and even some Stalkers ready to deal with this.
Yeah, and a couple of beautiful storms. He's actually going to completely clean up the drop. Will he get the last medevac? No, not quite. But it doesn't really matter, because if you look back at the front, he is absolutely destroying the Terran army.
God.
Wow. Good God. sWs just with uncontrollable splash damage that game.
And I really do mean it boisterous when I say that sWs stormed the front multiple times that game without too many issues, and really did a great job taking that game. EJK was doing some great stuff also. He was doing some really great split-ups and just preparing for battles ahead of time, but I think that the storm potential from sWs was just a little bit too much for him to handle.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he stormed the front, Fear Dragon. That joke hasn't been made right yet, right?
Yeah, I didn't make that joke already.
Hilarious.
All right, but with that being said, good job on sWs for taking that game. This was again from the breakout invitational qualifiers, breaking out qualifiers, whatever you want to call it. And sWs did move on. Unfortunately, he didn't end up winning the actual qualifier. He did qualify through the ladder, whereas IVD Fog did qualify through the qualifier. And yeah, that's going to be it for our Protoss versus Terrans. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't go anywhere, because if you're watching this live, we're going to be jumping into our final game of the day. It's going to be our Protoss versus Protoss featuring Dust sWs. And Boisterous, I assume that you're going to be joining me as well. You really don't have too much of a choice.
Yeah.
No, you don't. You don't. And we're going to have a little bit of that talk about what you said earlier on at the beginning of this cast.
All afraid.
All right, guys. We will see you all in a little bit.
I'm going to get the whip again.